Hey everyone, Jits over 50 here. I just wanted to touch base and go over what led me to training in Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. I always loved martial arts. You know, I don't want to get into that, but I've been a lifelong martial arts fanatic, just whether it's watching Kung Fu movies, inventing my own moves. I did Taekwondo for 3 years when I was a kid, very devoted. And then I started Shaolin in 1999, January of 1999. And I did that devoted for 3 years. And during that time, I got into Wing Chun as well. And I continued with the Shaolin training for about 10 years. During that time, I did Wing Chun on weekends for about 5 years under Sifu Jose Grados. He's kind of a famous guy. He's a really talented Wing Chun guy. And one of his students got his blue belt from Alliance. And he was the type of guy where he'd let you spar, he'd let you show whatever you had. So I had Shaolin, I had good kicks. He said, oh, use your kicks when you spar. Even though it's not Wing Chun, he wanted his guys to be able to defend it. So the same thing happened with, as far as the Jiu-Jitsu. So this guy got his blue belt, he'd come in and spar, take people down on a hardwood floor and armbar them and choke them very easily. Like there was no follow-up moves from the Wing Chun practitioner against the Jiu-Jitsu, right? If the Wing Chun guy can win with the stand-up, then yeah, he did good. But this practitioner knew Wing Chun and Jiu-Jitsu. So I remember thinking, that's a great combination, you know. But so a friend of mine took me to the Blue Basement, to Renzo Gracie's in 2005, I believe, 2006, something like that. And Rolls Gracie was there, not the one that died hang gliding, but it's Rolls or Hollis. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He has his own school now in New Jersey. And I remember watching them roll, and these guys were killing each other. You know, it wasn't like today. It was more of a little like meathead culture. And it was like a new student there, and they were just teeing off on this guy. And I remember thinking, wow, I don't know, this is scary. You know, I don't know if I want to do this. So my friend and I you know, when the class ended, he was like, you know, hard selling us, because back then it wasn't, you know, so popular. You know, really, he wasn't so super famous, Renzo, in the States. So this guy was trying to close us on, you know, training at the school, and we were trying to get out of there. It was funny. Nowadays, you know, they don't have to pressure anybody into training in the Blue Basement. But back then, it was a different environment. But I just remember, you know, walking out and thinking, maybe this isn't for me. But then a few years later, my friend joined a school, Ronin Athletics, and he was telling me it focused on MMA. And I thought, that's cool, I like MMA, because Wing Chun sparring was already kind of that way. We were doing everything. We were ending up on the ground at one, you know, sometimes. So, but I knew I didn't have any real grappling knowledge, like zero. So I figured, let me start with this MMA, grappling, no-gi, what they called submission wrestling back in 2008. So I started doing MMA and submission wrestling with Christian Montez at Ronin Athletics in Midtown. He's still there, by the way. At the time, he was a Straight Blast affiliate. And now I think he's a Gracie Combatives he does. But he's been a black belt for a long time. Back then, he was a purple belt. So when I started jiu-jitsu, my coach was a purple belt, because in 2008, there wasn't a lot of black belts around. I remember he brought in another guy, a purple belt, to teach gi, which I wasn't interested in at all at the time, after seeing the Renzo class, and I just didn't like it. I don't know, it felt corny to me at that time. So I started training no-gi with the rash guard, and, you know, it just felt more like UFC, and we were doing, you know, kickboxing and things like that. And then as the years went by, I realized, I says, you know what? I want to be a well-rounded martial artist. That's why I got into jiu-jitsu to begin with. And also, I want to be ranked. Because years ago, if you just did no-gi, you weren't ranked. You didn't get a blue belt or a purple belt like I see them giving out today. I saw on the B team, they gave someone a brown belt, you know, even though they've never trained in the gi. And a lot of times people say belts aren't important. But that's another story. So I remember, like, people would ask me, oh, you've been training for years now. You know, what belt are you? And I'd be like, oh, well, I'm still really just a white belt. You have to give them a whole story about how I train only in no-gi, and, you know, they don't even know what I'm talking about. So I remember thinking, I should just start training in the gi, even if I do it once a week, you know, to supplement it or just to do something different. It's like going snowboarding all the time. Don't you want to go skiing once in a while? Or if you go rollerblading all the time, why not jump on a skateboard? You know, so I was always thinking that way anyway. So I started doing gi as well. And, you know, so that's what led me into jiu-jitsu. Grappling was, you know, coming from a Wing Chun school where one of the students got his blue belt from Alliance and started submitting the Wing Chun guys. So that's really what led me there. And he went on to fight MMA, and he was a crazy guy. I don't want to mention any names. He was semi-famous back in 2005. And so that's what led me to Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. You know, and what I found is I still do kickboxing over the years. Like I would do jiu-jitsu a couple of classes and do a kickboxing class here and there because I still loved stand-up. My stand-up was really sharp. I was doing it for a decade, devoted. No family, no serious girlfriend, just training, you know, as much as I could. And now that training obviously switched completely to jiu-jitsu in recent years, even though I still do some boxing and stand-up. I'll try to demonstrate some of that in some of my videos so you guys could kind of see like what level I'm on with that. I always thought I was a better striker than I was a grappler, but now that I've been doing jiu-jitsu, you know, I started 16 years ago. I started in 2008. So my jiu-jitsu level's up near what my you know, stand-up is. So it's interesting, you know, if you're going to if you're going to be a martial artist, you know, I don't feel bad for people, but I kind of think, you know, these just no gi exclusive guy or gi exclusive guy or a guy that just does Wing Chun, they're missing out. You know, you should be a well-rounded player, you know, and this goes back to takedowns. So you say, oh, well, you know, you got to learn takedowns or your jiu-jitsu is useless. Yeah, but what if you got great stand-up? Do you really need to learn takedowns? You could just knock the guy out, right? You could kick him in the face without moving your hip. You know, you can, you know, you have abilities beyond jiu-jitsu. You know, I don't think jiu-jitsu has all the answers, you know. I mean, why can't you just do some kickboxing training, some boxing training as a supplement? So that's my advice on that, and that's what led me to jiu-jitsu. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit of that experience. You know, I'm not going to go through all the schools I've been at since 2008, but, you know, I moved around a bit. And so that's what led me to jiu-jitsu. So if you find value in my content and you want to help support the channel, there's an X-Martial link in the description. You could use the code JITS50, you get 15% off. Also, you could just buy me a coffee. Both links are in the description. Thank you for watching. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a channel. And please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you.